welcome to Variable Overview. And today we're going to take a look at the two different aspects of leftness. If you look at the left side of the variable grid, you can see, in fact, that you can divide it into two parts. You can divide it into the upper four variables, which are both left-minded and left-brained. That is, if you look in the upper left-hand corner of each variable, what you're looking at is the cognitive potential that is there in the design Sun-Earth. And if you're looking up at the upper right-hand corner of each individual variable, you're looking at the personality potential of mind. So in fact, what you're looking at when you're looking at the variable grid as a whole, when you're looking to the left side and you're looking to the upper four variables, you're going to see that they are both left-minded and left-brained. If you go down to the bottom four, you'll see that there is a shift. That is, they are no longer left-brained. They are all left-minded, but in fact, each and every one of them has a right brain function in those four lower variables. So we have a basic division in leftness. We have the pure leftness of left mind, left brain, and we have the transitional configuration of those that are left-minded and right-brained. Well, what's the difference? When you're looking at the upper left-hand corner and you're looking at those four variables that have both left mind and left brain, they are here to provide strategic knowledge. The left brain is active. The left mind is focused. And together they form a line that moves from the upper left all the way down to the lower right, the evolutionary movement, the movement from leftness all the way down to rightness. It is here in this upper quadrant that the strategic tools necessary for the nine-centered being are in fact developed. The cognitive tools, the cognitive knowledge that is going to enhance the potential of nine-centered beings moving into the future. When you look at the lower grouping that is left-minded and right-brained, the right brain is very different. This is a mutation that came into being in 1781. The right brain is not active, it is passive, and its function is to absorb information rather than to hone in or specialize in information. The right brain is also passive in the sense that it is not intended to be driven to high activity levels in terms of the pressure placed on the brain to be able to deal with the life. It is one of the most interesting things about the variable configuration that these lower four variables, that nobody with a transitional profile can ever belong to them. That is, if you're somebody who has a profile that is 1, 4, 2, 5, 3, 6, 4, 1, 5, 2, or 6, 3, you can never be part of this lower left-hand grouping of four different variables. As a matter of fact, this grouping is not about the future at all. In many ways, it is a continuity to the past, a deep continuity in that sense, to the human experiential past, and it is not about where we are going in the future.
Hey, hey, my fellow travelers on this spaceship Earth, spiraling through space and time, we're back again. And this time we've moved to duality. Yes, duality, where the bond is, and the bond as determined by the personality consciousness program. So what's our face today?
We're going to take a look at the face of Thoth. Now, Thoth is also from the Egyptian tradition. We met Muat over in the Quarter of Civilization with her laws and homogenization of society. In Thoth, here we have something a little different. You know, his role as the wisdom god of, really the one that brought the laws to the people, And what we find in duality here is that exploration of the bond and how to make the bond work. And where we start is with answers, which I find fascinating, that Thoth, in this ability to interpret what Muat brought in terms of laws, brings the way in which we bring those laws to life. And it's through the bond.
Well, okay, let's continue breaking this down. Personality consciousness program.
Mm.
It's all about the survival of the species. It's all about making sure that as a group, we continue. Doesn't care about you as an individual. Does not care one whit about you as an individual. What it cares about is that it is going to have this pool of resources available for it to continue its experiment of consciousness and form. So it's just, it's doing it for our own good. So here comes Thoth, and he says, yes,
there are answers.
There are answers. And the answers are?
There's a pattern to all of this. There is a pattern to life. And if you find a pattern, you're going to succeed.
If you follow it, you will survive.
Yeah. So it's very logical here, but there's also more than finding the pattern. There's establish a role. And when we're looking at duality, we're looking at that yin female and then the yang male. Right there, you get that bond between the male and the female. Here it's saying pick a role. Be a man, be a woman. There's a man's got a particular role to fulfill in life. Women have a particular role to fulfill in life. So we get that, real gender specific kind of piece here. And, then make a commitment.
And that's the key. The key is that, it's like in order to survive, you've got to make a commitment to maintain the continuity. And the continuity is the pair bond.
Yeah.
That's what makes it all go, folks.
According to duality. And, what does the pair bond do? You make a pattern, you have the male, female, you make a bond, you make a commitment, then you make more. Here we come to that reproductive mating to fulfill the purpose of the bond. We're looking at survival of the species, so there has to be this continuity piece here of bringing the next generation into form, into being. And
the next generation has to come in based on these rules, based on these particular answers, based on this way, as opposed to that way.
So there's an indoctrination into the pattern that's already set up here. And Thoth to me kind of ties everything up in this tidy little bow. It's like you're going to grow up, you're going to get married, you're going to have kids, and life will be perfect. This is how you make your life work. And it's so deep in our programming. I mean, marriage continues to function today, even as the families are breaking down. So this is a very strong force here that we're looking at.
Lynda, you and I share a completely open G. No activations at all. And a lot of times, G Center is about direction, it's about love in your life. So tell me about all the roles that you've gone through in your life and how your mind has participated in that.
Well, I have a completely open G with no activations at all. And I think the hardest thing about having that, for me anyway, was the desire to have the right relationship, to have the right love in my life, and looking for that. And so being very, I don't want to use the word obsessed, but that's something that you're thinking about all the time is, who is the right person? Where is he? When am I going to meet him? And that sort of thing. So, so really energetically kind of looking for that. And not only that, but also looking for the role, that you're going to play. Where do I belong? What should I be doing with my life? Your mind, when you have that center open, your mind is sort of preoccupied with those questions. Where should I go? What should I be doing? What is my role? Who can I do it with? Where's the love of my life? And those sort of things. And so what that does is it causes you to make decisions where your mind says, well, if I go here, maybe I'll meet him there. What if I take this class, then maybe I can have that role. If I learn this about myself, then maybe this is who I am. And just kind of living life not really knowing who you are, which is uncomfortable, and being occupied with that, with trying to figure that out. So, but then there's another side of it when I look back on my life, and I think that, the Open G is really about being shown your new direction, your new love. It comes from these encounters that we have. They're like signposts. You're traveling down your life, and then you meet somebody who says something, and you should try this or go in this direction. These are signposts for an Open G. There's something to really pay attention to. And so, not that you need to do everything that's presented to you, but if you follow your strategy and authority and you make the decision that, oh, okay, that is interesting, I will go down that path. So you can find yourself, when you have an Open G, trying on various different roles. I mean, I spent a lot of time in the corporate world, and worked in that role for a long time. And of course, I had the role of being a mother. I've had various different roles. And the thing with an Open G is these roles come and go. And when they come, we get comfortable with it because, finally I have a role, and we get kind of attached to it. And then, the transit or whatever, your geometry takes you in a different direction, and your role changes. And then you can get hung up in the sort of loss of that role, when all it really is just a change in the geometry. I mean, your path is just changing, and something else will come. So I guess that's the thing about deconditioning when you have an Open G, is there is a certain uncomfortableness when you're between roles. It's like one has left and there's not another one yet that replaces that. And you've got this sort of waiting, you're in the waiting station, and it's hard not to think about, what am I going to do? And but what I've learned is that when that mind chatter comes in, I talk to it and I say, okay, be quiet. It'll come, it'll change, something will happen. And sure enough, it does. I mean, after I stopped looking for love, a friend introduced me to the man that is my husband now. I didn't have to go look for him. And besides that, anytime I did go looking for things, it never really worked out because it was my mind making that decision. So waiting is a wonderful thing. Just letting life unfold, like we were talking last night, do without doing, and just be. Everything's happening anyway. We're moving, and it's all happening anyway. So just be available to respond and watch the signposts. Thanks.
As the years go by and human design, we begin to unwrap it more and more. We begin to find other sides the knowledge can reveal to us. And one of the most profound and current understandings is invariable. It's whether we are right or left, and whether we are open as receptives, or whether we are strategic down a tunnel vision in order to get to some particular goal. There are You know, when I first got to hear my design, it was an amazing thing because I didn't know how the person who was telling me this new could understand me in such a deep way. That's a special thing. That's a really special thing. But as you take the knowledge into yourself, things in your past begin to be understood and accepted. When I first heard about my variable, I am completely right fixed on the personality side and completely left on the body side. When I understood what it is to be receptive, that all the exams in school and all the testing and all the way they try to make us all strategic and fixed in a tunnel-like vision, the moment I understood what receptive was, then it made sense of my life back to my childhood in a moment. Being able to describe the way you meet the world is a way of describing the way you see. A receptive is not just a witness consciousness. It is something that meets life a little like a breeze. It's a softness to it. It's not trying to change anything. It knows that as it looks into what's happening, as it feels into what's happening, it's more like a feeling. It's more like something where you penetrate life by just awareness. And awareness of what comes is you just take in and you take in everything all the time, but you don't make sense of any of it. You're not here to make sense of any of it as you take it in. The sense that is made of it is when someone asks you anything. I mean, you can know things as a receptive that nobody else knows. Just by sitting by someone, you take in them at all different levels, all different layers. You can see into past lives. You can see into what's in front of you and the way they display themselves. Human design, of course, as you look at yourself, I'm a 1-3, you also look at others. You begin to see their profile, you begin to see their channels, you begin to see their power or their lack of it. You begin to see where they're holding inattention in the body and what it's doing. You begin to know just by moving into a room what's going on. It's a new type of awareness. Receptivity, to be able to take all that in without judgment, in complete acceptance, it's almost like you can almost touch it. I mean, when I say feeling into it, I really mean that. It's like you can feel what kind of energy it is. So understanding that you are either right or you are left, and there are 16 variables, you can see where it is, whether it's in your environment, whether it's in your body, whether it's in your personality, whether it's in the road that you walk along. This is a great tool. I mean, I'm so excited by what we're learning in human design because it is an endless knowledge. It's an unwrapping, and the unwrapping is as dense as the Maya itself, and the ways to see into the Maya, this material world, is an endless thing. It's not a digging, it's just pushing the soil away. How we see is one of those keys to take in, to enable you to see even further. When you know something, it's like a conduit. It's like something that gives you a way in to seeing deeper. And there are a lot of those in human design. It is such fun.